Hello, good morning everyone. So today we will be going through one new paper on deep learning for symbolic mathematics. This is by Facebook AI Research, and let's read through it what it is. So this paper is an attempt to basically try and make the deep learning model, which is transformers in our case, learn how we use symbols in mathematics, right? Basically symbolic mathematics. So this is not your average algebra related attempt, but it is more like a calculus related attempt, right? So hope that that part is clear, right? Okay, so as you can see, the authors are representing a mathematical problem and methods for generating large data sets that can be used to train sequence to sequence models. Okay, so first of all, in the introduction, they have stated that neural networks by default are somewhat have always been on the statistical side, which means to say that they are not really good at learning different symbols for representations and other kind of stuff, right? Like summation, signal, or anything like that, right? So in previous iterations, a lot of people have already done some work on linear algebra, where they have done some computation on algebra related tasks, and they have worked out pretty well. So this is somewhat a new approach which we are trying, and our primary focus is on function integration and ODEs. So we will see what do they mean. Okay, now let's moving on to how we are expressing these as trees, right? So if you see over here, let's say we have an equation called as 2 plus 3 into 5 plus 2, right? Now how do we construct it in a data set? So for this one, what we have done is we have taken a data structure from computer science, which is called as trees, and we have symbolized it in that way. Let's say it's 2 plus 3, so here comes 2, then plus, then multiply, right? So if you see here, it is creating a tree like a structure, right? So similarly for 3 into 5 plus 2, we have 3 into plus, then 5, then 2, something like that, right? So this is what it all boils down to. It's creating a tree like structure, and it is distributing different components of the equation accordingly, right? So this is what how we are differentiating or creating such trees and such equations into trees, right? Okay, now let's go a little bit below to what the authors have done in terms of counting the expressions, right? So here what the authors are saying is they have created this basic rules, right? So that whatever equation comes along, it should fit into these kind of rules. So first is like trees with up to n internal rows, so which is pretty clear that up to n internal nodes we can have the tree. There is P1 unary operator, which is basically cos, sine, exponential, log, these kind of things. P2 is binary one, which is plus minus your symbol for any sort of algebraic explanation, right? There is L leaves, which is x, y, z, e, pi, all sort of integers come into the L leaves, right? So as we have seen above, all the leaf nodes are coming out as integers here, right? So that's what it is, right? So these are like basic 3 to 4 rules which we are going to follow for our entire course or research paper. Okay, so now let's see, there are two formulas which they have shown using recurrence that we can use to calculate the number of trees, right? This is just a way to compute what kind of equation creates how many number of trees, how many number of expressions are getting created, stuff like that. So this is pretty simple, right? Okay, now let's scroll below to the graph. So if you see over here, this graph originally just tells us that the number of expressions that we have for different equations, when we increase the number of expressions, right, then automatically the internal nodes are increasing, right, and all the number of expressions are also going in the increasing direction or in the exponential. So let's take an example over here. The blue line over here is basically L equal to 11, P1 15, P2 5, P2 equal to 4. So this one is a very the most standard unary binary expression, right, that we have in the first line itself, right. And as you can see, as we have a more complex equation, the number of expressions are increasing and the internal nodes are also increasing. So this is a bit of a concern, because as the number of expressions are increasing, our space complexity is also very much increasing, right. We don't want to increase too much space complexity and tend to store the entire tree on that and use that for computation. So it will increase our time complexity also. It may increase our time complexity also, right. So this is the issue that the authors have highlighted using this graph. Okay, now let's go to generating the data. How will we even think about generating the data set, or what is our approach? So the authors have suggested 3 approaches. The first one is the forward integration, right. With the forward integration, we are generating random functions with up to n operators, right, and calculate their integrals with computer algebra, which is basically our integration, like normal. If you have if you know your high school, like you must have studied in high school mathematics, that whenever you integrate something like xn, right, it automatically goes to xn plus 1 n plus 1, right, something like that. So there are a couple of rules which you can follow and you can do a forward based integration, right. Second approach is with the backward integration. So backward integration would mean like we have the chain rule, right. So as an example I was earlier going through is like something like dy by dx, right, where you have something like dv which gets cancelled out and you have this dy by dx again, right. So this is like a chain rule example that we have, right. And what the authors have found out, which we'll later observe also, that the forward integration is very slow in nature and the differentiation of the backward integration is very fast approach in nature, right. So our deep learning model is very up to speed with the differentiation or the BWD method, right. Okay, now let's move on. Let's go to backward integration, backward generation with integration method. So IBP is nothing but an integration by parts, right. So in integration itself, we know that let's say if you have some equation like x cube sine x, right, so you can take u as x cube and v as sine x, right, and then you can have this u v formula where you are integrating one, taking out the partial derivative of another, and that kind of thing. So I think this approach is also pretty much clear. I'll leave a few links below which I used to refer these, and you can also go through them just to recap some of these methods and techniques. Okay, now another one which we will discuss approach is the ODE one, first order differential equation. So in this paper itself, the authors have explained that for any sort of constant c, we are actually able to solve this value for c and then differentiate in x and then simplify it, right. So this kind of approach is a very standard approach of how we can calculate first order differential equations, ODEs, and this is pretty consistent with our normal algebraic or calculus related techniques, right. Second order is also similar, where we have just C1 and C2, where we solve for C2 and then we solve for C1. So this is a pretty standard way of computing differentiation and differentiation, right. Yeah, so let's go ahead. Okay, data set cleaning. So this is a very practical walkthrough. So even if we create a data set, right, our equation does not really simplify. So let's say if you have something like x plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, and this can be written as x plus 5. So why go ahead and put it in this format, x plus 1 plus 1, something like that. So it will not be, you know, easy to simplify, and it doesn't really make sense for the machine also to go through all that stuff. So we can simplify it using, you know, something like x plus 5, right? And there are some expressions also that you know, which can be very easily simplified, like they have shown log x e3. So you can just simplify it to x plus 3, right? So this kind of stuff they have simplified a lot, right, while creating the data set itself. Coefficient simplification would become something like x plus x tan 3 will become cx plus 1, and this will become c log x1. So these are bit more like a mathematical nuances, right? You can obviously write it like this also, but just for the ease of convenience we are going with the other approach, right? Invalid expressions, we are not taking iota related concepts here, like root of -2, so it will be 2 iota. So we are just not going to consider that, right? Okay, now let's go through the data set part. So here after creating some sort of data sets, we have some results on how well or how bad this is performing. So basically I'll just remove this. So basically we saw in each technique, which is forward, backward and IBP. So let's talk about these three. We saw the most important characteristic here was that the output max length, which is coming as 508 for the forward method, right, FWD. So this is very high in terms of the characters or the numerical whatever it is outputting, right? So this is an observation which we have for the forward, and similarly for backward it's quite the reverse. We are obtaining very short results. So let's say if you're doing some sort of differentiation or integration, right, anything, so you observe like, oh okay, the answer or the output that I'm getting is very less in number of the characters, right? The max length is very less. Whereas for the integration by parts it's quite average, 206, 508 if you see is just half down. So this one is quite okay. Similarly for OD we observe that it is 474, OD1, OD2 it is 335, right? So we have pretty much simplified it into different techniques along with different max lengths that we are observing. Okay, so what model are we using more specifically in the transformers? So we are going to use a model config of 8 attention heads, 6 layers, 512 dimensions, and the hyperparameters are ADAM optimizer, learning rate, 256 equations per batch, and 512 tokens. So this is a pretty standard transformer. The authors have even explained why they have not chosen a very huge number in this transformer, like they could go very large given the compute power that you know, Facebook might have, but they said that they don't feel that it necessarily improves the performance as such, right? So that's one of the reason they have just make it simple, right? Okay, now they have done how do they do the inference part, right? So they are using the beam search. Now what is beam search? Okay, so many of you might be aware of breadth first search, right, the BFS one, right? So in BFS basically we have level order exploration of nodes, right? So we explore like 1 level, 2 level, 3 levels, you know, stuff like that, and we use the data structure of queue. So here let's say if you explore L1 as the first layer, so you automatically store it into a queue and you just cross it out once you explored it. You go to 2 and 3 and then you explore one by one each of it, and then you explore the nodes part. So but you might be aware that the time complexity is like OV plus E, which is mean the vertices and the edges combined. So it's a huge time complexity, time and space complexity. So this is our concern. We don't want to store all the nodes that we are exploring in memory just because it is not making sense or we are not exploring it much. So what we can do is we can actually only store the best possible node which gives us the correct output, right? So let's say if you have out of 2 and 3 you found out that okay, 2 is only the one which is making more sense and we want to explore that further. So we keep only 2 and we don't store 3 here, right? So we keep only the best possible ways on that, and there is a parameter here which is like you can decide how many best possible solutions you want to keep. So that parameter is called as the beam size, right? So if you have beam size as 1, only the best one solution will be kept. If you have beam size of 2 or 3, so only those numbers of nodes will be kept or solutions will be explored, and the space complexity will vary, right? Okay, so this is good, and the authors have done it with 1, 10, 50, so we will see how it goes, right? Okay, one more observation in the model that they have was, for the model itself, they have some invalid prefix expression. So this does not really make sense, plus 2 into 3, right? It is just not valid that way. So to address this, what they have done is, whenever the generated sequence come, they convert it into a valid expression tree. So that way it makes more sense that okay, this is a valid expression, not just any other expression. So for the evaluation, they have used something called as BLEU score. What is BLEU score? BLEU score is nothing but a metric to compare the output of like a language translation. It's mostly used for translation purposes. So let's say if you have a model which is converting from English to German or something like that, so you can compare the output of the German versus the English input using this metric. And let's say if the score is 1 and the score is 0, so score 0 means that it's not a very good match, and if the score is 1, then it's a very good match. It's a very standard metric that we have. So this one is a very standard metric that they have referred over here, and they have also explained that okay, BLEU score is not necessarily very importantly getting correlated with the performance aspect, but it's just a metric to identify that, right? Okay, so one observation is, as you increase the beam size, the accuracy also increases. So what they did is, instead of taking beam size as 1, they increased it to 10 and then later 50. So if you see over here, for 50, this thing is getting increased, right? Your integration is getting increased. BWD approach is also getting increased. The accuracy is getting increased for each aspect of it, right? And this is what they have observed, and this is done for a 5000 equations test set, right? So it works very easily, right? You can see that as you increase the beam size, the number of hypotheses is increasing, and the accuracy part is also increasing for the model. Okay, now in the I think in the comparison part, what they are doing is, they are actually comparing their model against some of the top AI products, right, in the market. One of them is Mathematica, MATLAB, Maple. MATLAB, I must you must be aware, many have used in the engineering sessions itself, right? So what they have observed is, if when you compare it with Mathematica against a 30-second timeout, because I think there is some sort of hard limit, then you have 84% with this integration approach. And if you use our model, then it is already reaching 99%, 98%, that kind of accuracy levels. So this is just some analysis based on that, right? Okay, so they have concluded that the model has outperformed Mathematica, and this is quite okay. Okay, yeah, so one more aspect of it is equivalent equation solution. So let's say if it is solved some sort of equation into this form, right, the first one on this side, and then this second one. So you see the score, the BLEU score is getting higher here instead of here, right? So which means that the model is having a much better hypothesis when it is in a more elongated form, like in a more longer form, right? So this is quite easy, and you can see the results for yourself, that when you compare the left side to the right side, how it is getting evaluated, right? And it even says that the log probabilities are normalized by sequence, and so the length of the sequence matters over here. Okay, generalization across generators. So okay, so for another data set testing, what they have done is, they have created a training data inclusive of BWD, IBP and FWD approaches, right? They have combined all the three, and then they have created the training data. So if you see here, the accuracy has quite increased, right? Not in every scenario, I would say, but it has increased for some. Right here it's 99.7, which is same here, but for the first one it just increased it. For here we have 88, 89, 90. So like this last value is obviously higher, right? So it has increased for quite a few scenarios. So even this is another good observation that we have. Then we have SymPy. Okay, so this is a BERT based transformer model. So in BERT based we only have encoding or encoders. So there is a library in Python which is called as SymPy. So they have used this library for encoding stuff, right? So they are just explaining that over here, and there are some stuff which what they observed is even SymPy cannot do some sort of integration equations, and later their model was able to do. So that's a great achievement considering we started with SymPy and we moved on to something really big, right? Okay, some related work. They have talked about a new concept called as neural arithmetic logic units. This is another research paper where instead of having neural networks, you tend to use this kind of a logic unit, right? And it seems to work if once we have it. So we can see how it may work in future or how it will work. Okay, conclusion. It's quite simple that the results that we were able to generate was very good. I really like the approach which the authors are taking in this one. I think further down the line we may use this approach for different kind of branches in mathematics itself. So not just calculus, but think about it. It may be some sort of new approach can be come up with the geometry or some other kind of thing, right? Symbols, right? But yeah, for now this paper does its work, and it really works well. Couple of references they have mentioned. Then they have done some syntax for mathematical expression. So this one is I'm skipping this a little bit because it's basically more like theory, right? So you can even go through it. They have discussed each and everything, like in terms of space complexity or time complexity, and even mathematically how things are validated or what is the calculation like, right? So it's a huge theory. It will complement once you sort of try to reach the go through the paper actually. And even this one is also interesting, where they have a graph for number of tokens, density, and the length of derivative, length of integrals. So these are just some observation they had. And I remember when this paper got out, a lot of news was there that deep learning has solved a lot of complex mathematical equations, which is very true. And yeah, it's amazing the way how we are able to finally train a deep learning model using on the symbolic mathematics. So that's it for this one. I hope you like the video and give it a thumbs up. Do let me know which next paper we could pick up, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.